Welcome. It's Monday, June 25th at 6 p.m. to the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting. To my right is John Swazer, to my left is Tom Kendall, and myself as Chair William Twiss. We have two items to come before the committee today. The first one is to provide a recommendation to council regarding ordinance 0262018, which is a rezone of 8.015 acres. It's part of inlot 9891 from R-3B single-family residential districts to A-R agricultural residential district, and the repealing of O-9-2018. Sue, I believe you will start us off if we have further questions.
Well, you read everything, so that did help.
Oh, okay.
This has been recommended by the Troy Planning Commission. Council previously approved 09-2018, so this would be returning the parcel back to the initial zoning that it had carried prior to the rezoning.
Okay.
And there was a public hearing at the last council meeting.
Okay.
And Jim Dando, our development director, may have some additional information to provide.
Jim,
you have
would you like to
questions.
provide some additional information?
Agricultural residential district allows for house lots or very small farms. The idea is that smaller properties would be involved, so that's suitable for this size property. It's what it had been zoned before, and the applicants have requested to go back to that.
Okay. All right. Questions? Questions?
No.
Any questions from city staff, other council members? All right, how would you like to proceed?
There's a gentleman. No. Just making sure the gentleman in the audience did not have anything.
Oh, anything to say? No. All right.
I'm good with moving forward.
Moving forward. All right, if we can
Okay.
prepare paperwork to move forward to rezone
Yes.
that back to the agricultural.
Right, that will be, it's on your council agenda. We'll have a third reading
Third
at the next
reading.
council meeting. Yes.
So if I may, just one question on that. It never really was, though, changed, right?
By the ordinance, it was changed. and
Right.
While the ordinance has been challenged, that is currently what it would say, but it's stayed because of the fact that there was a challenge.
Right, okay.
Mr. Kerber could explain that more if you needed.
No.
Hey, good timing,
That's
Grant.
fine.
Okay. Second item to come before the committee is to provide a recommendation to council regarding the annexation petition filed on behalf of Jane H. Dellenkamp for 10.284 acres, generally located north of the Creekwood subdivision. And this would be a statement of services to be provided to the annexed land, statement of buffering related to the incompatible uses, and then also acceptance. I think those are three items within that.
It would be three separate pieces
Three
of
separate pieces.
legislation. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this annexation was filed under the Type 2 expedited process, which the ORC states that council has 20 days from the date that the filing was made to the city to provide the two statements, the one of services, the other of buffering, and then 25 days to provide the initial approval of the annexation. And Mr. Dando is quite the expert on annexations also.
Jim, do you have anything to add?
This is an expedited annexation process that was approved by the legislature back in '05, I believe it was. And it's expedited in the sense that the county commissioners has fewer steps that they go through because 100% of the property owners inside this area have requested the annexation. So it does make it a little easier for the commissioners. Your part in it, however, is pretty much the same as usual. The questions are, can the city provide services to that area? And would we be willing to accept it? The acceptance actually can come later after the county commissioners have actually approved the annexation. This would come to you anyway. This initial, as Mrs. Knight said, is the question of can services be provided, and if it is accepted, would you protect the adjoining residences? That's what the buffer requirement is. And then the other question is whether you would consent to it or object to it, and that's actually an optional. And there are 3 pieces of legislation for that because those are 3 different actions that you would take.
Okay.
Staff recommends the approval simply because we already have services in the area to some properties that are within the city limits, and it would not be a strain on our services.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, Jim, how would that come into the city, under what zoning class?
That's also a change that's been done in the last 20 years. Years ago, things would come into the city automatically with a certain zoning designation. The courts ruled that zoning cannot be done automatically. You will be faced with a question of what zoning do you want it to have once it is in your jurisdiction. At this point, you can't do anything about zoning because you have no jurisdiction.
No, but I mean, let's say the annexation gets approved, would it be an AR1? Would it be an R1?
That would be something the planning commission would initiate unless the property owners initiate something.
It will
And then-
actually come in at its current
That's all I'm
county
asking, is
zoning.
what the current
Yeah.
zoning is.
Okay. Its current zoning that it has in the county would remain in place until the city zoning is provided. And
Okay.
as I pointed out, the courts have ruled that you'd have to go through the entire zoning process to provide a City of Troy zoning designation.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, just, again, we are not making recommendation on zoning. It's just on these 3 items.
Correct.
Okay.
I know, but it comes in from the county or
Yeah,
township
right.
zoning that it has now, and all I'm asking is what that zoning was.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have the capabilities as a city to provide those services to this area.
The same
gonna-
services we provide to all other
The
properties in
properties.
the city.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not sure exactly what the zoning is right now, Mr. Swayze, but we will find that out and email it to you.
It's not, I mean, it's not a deal breaker or anything,
Sure.
it's just a curiosity.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions from other council members? Any questions from the audience or city staff on this subject? You can come up, if you come up and state your name, just so we have that and where you're located.
Sure. Good evening. I'm JJ Friggy.
Yep.
I own the land to the immediate east of the Delcamp property,
Okay.
5.5 acres, and we share a driveway.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to, you already answered one of my questions, Sue, to clarify what the zoning is right now. I believe it's agricultural, but that would be great to clarify.
Sure.
And then too, just for the record, I'd like to state that as an adjacent property owner, we're really looking to make sure that the buffers are adequate for our concerns, including several property value of mine, aesthetics, being, only about a 30-yard distance from the property, from my front door. And then certainly, the main thing is flooding and drainage concerns, because right now that property is draining right through my yard and into the floodplain behind me. So just want to make sure that, those were made known up front. I know there's not much to do around the annexation piece, but the rezoning will be something that we'll need to address.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else in the audience? All right. Any other questions? No? Okay.
And I would note that we are asking for emergency legislation based on the time frame imposed by the Ohio Revised Code.
For all 3
Yes,
pieces?
sir.
I have no problems with that.
Okay. Any problems?
No problem with that.
No problem. Let's prepare paperwork to go to the council with.
Okay?
Anything else to come before the Community of Economic Development Committee?
Not this evening.
All right. We are adjourned.